Hello everyone, welcome to this week's sketch video. This week's monster is going to be a twisted human monster. It's inspired by monsters in media that have the human form twisted, broken, merged, bloated, deformed in some way. Now, this is actually my favorite type of monster. I don't know where this fascination came from. I've never even had a broken bone before, so I don't know. But I've always been fascinated with anatomy. When I was a child, I actually wanted to grow up to be a surgeon. But then I found out you had to go to school for years and do a lot of reading, and I was like, no, that's not for me. One of the greatest examples of this twisted body horror is, of course, one of the greatest horror movies of all time, The Thing, 1982. People consider it to be the #1 horror movie of all time. And actually, I don't argue with that. There's tension, paranoia, there's gore. The practical effects are great, it's suspenseful. And ultimately, you still don't know what this creature actually looks like and what its intentions are. All we know is that it can assimilate living tissue and perfectly mimic those life forms. Now, if it gets outed, if it gets cornered, if it gets trapped, it breaks apart and lashes out into a grotesque form, possibly using tendrils and tentacles and spikes and claws and teeth, possibly from other alien life forms that it's assimilated, or from its original form, if it even has one. Naturally, this results in the people being assimilated being totally twisted and broken apart, split open and stretched and reworked in horrifying ways. And it's beautiful. Now, I will say there's one part in the movie where the practical effects actually look extremely cheesy. But that's like one part. Other than that, perfect movie. Just had to be honest. Now, there was another entry into the Thing movie franchise in 2011. This version actually used a lot of CGI for the monster, and it has its pros and cons. Some parts look good, some parts look a little cheesy. I think overall it could have been executed better. But I will say some of the scenes where the monster assimilates the crew in this one are actually very disturbing, very horrifying. So props to them on that. And part of me wants to see what else could be done with The Thing. Since it has the potential to assimilate all life on the planet, how terrifying is that? What does that look like? But at the same time, the 1982 version is just perfect. And when something's perfect, you don't try to fix it. Quick note, if you could take 3 seconds to click the like button. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Appreciate it. And if you feel like commenting, leave down in the comments what bones you have broken before. Like humerus, femur, tibia, finger, pelvis, and I'll pin the most painful sounding one at the top. Now, I'm not drawing huge inspiration from The Thing at the moment. Rather, I'm drawing a bit more inspiration from a video game called Dead Space. Naturally, this is one of my most favorite video games of all time. They actually did a remake of the original recently, and I'm very grateful for that. The monsters in question are called necromorphs. As the name would suggest, it's dead bodies being morphed into these grotesque monsters. Almost like zombies, but being broken and twisted apart. Bones protruding, extra limbs growing. You see in the game, they discover an ancient alien artifact, and it sends out signals that corrupts dead tissue and turns it into these nightmarish creatures. Not only that, it messes with the living, influencing them in their actions. All leading towards convergence, where all the dead bodies merge and they all become one, and they are made whole. It's terrifying, it's wonderful. Typically they tell you to shoot zombies in the head, but for necromorphs, they don't slow down that way. You're supposed to chop off their limbs to slow them down. Then you have a chance of killing them. And this game has tension throughout because these necromorphs get into the ventilation system of the entire ship and can pop out anywhere at any time. And given that it's a video game, as you progress throughout the game, you have to introduce new types. So there's all different types of necromorphs, and it's wonderful and it's fun. Some explode, some puke up things, some split into other little pieces. It's wonderful. Now, everyone's been talking for years about getting John Carpenter, the guy who directed The Thing, to make a Dead Space movie. And I would just like to say that my birthday is coming up. And if anyone wants to get me anything, they can get John on the phone and make this happen. And I would be very grateful. Also, I could be in the movie too. Hey. Now we're in video games. We're talking about twisted bodies. We gotta mention one of the greats, the Flood from Halo. Within the Halo franchise, there's an ancient infectious parasitic species known as the Flood. Millions of years ago, this infection nearly devoured all life in the galaxy. But an ancient race called the Forerunners built the Halo array to wipe out the Flood's food source, therefore starving it and making it go bye-bye. It infects sentient life forms and converts them into specialized forms, either carrier forms or combat forms, and it's able to take over entire species, entire planets. And it's smart, so it can command battleships. When enough of it is centralized and combined together, it can create something called a grave mind. This is much like The Thing. It has all of the knowledge of all the creatures it's absorbed. And it doesn't discriminate. It infects the aliens. It infects the humans. It will most likely infect some animals as well. When the Flood shows up in Halo games, it goes from sci-fi to horror really quickly. And that's why I had to mention it. Now, I don't see too many creatures like this. Twisted, broken bodies. Maybe in the final act in the Evil Dead Rise movie. That's a good one. Catherine Sutherland is great, by the way. Call me. But there's one that I just so happened to catch wind of, and it took me a good while to figure out where it came from, what it was. But there's actually a short film on YouTube called Zygote by Oats Studio. They actually starred Dakota Fanning in this one. And they have Sigourney Weaver in another one. They do some really cool stuff. You should definitely check them out. Well, in Zygote, it's horrifying. Because you find out that there's a creature, some type of alien form, something that's taking parts, that's basically assimilated the crew into one being. And so you have this massive tangle of limbs and body parts. And you find out that it's the crew. It's able to use the different hands it's gathered to unlock doors. Now this thing is chasing down and cornering the last couple of survivors. And it's horrifying already, but it does something that I'd love to see more of. The creature's cries and wails, it screams. It sounds horrifying because you know it's most likely the wails of the former crew. And it's disturbing, and I love that. That's something I really want to learn the art of, is a good creature scream, a cry, a roar, something that sends shivers down your spine. Different type of creature, but one that uses this wailing sound very well is the bear in Annihilation. One of the most horrifying scenes of all time. And it's beautiful. So if you guys think of other disturbing wailing noises from monsters in any kind of media, please let me know about them. And let me know about other twisted, disturbing, grotesque monsters that are out there. Because I love them. So anyway, always remember to wash your hands so you don't get infected by any of these things. Have a good week, everybody.